Hello, and welcome to CSBC Life, where we engage our community through celebration, education, mindfulness, and fun. If there's something you'd like to share or something you'd like to learn that you're curious about, you can reach out and we'll do our best to include your topics in upcoming episodes. If you'd like to contribute any videos or audio clips, you can email mbazil@congdonstreet.org or leave a comment in the video and we'll reach out to you. So today we're going to be exploring Afrofuturism and what it means to different people. Because of the ways that Black bodies are politicized in society, exploring Afrofuturism and imagining Black people in the future is inherently a political, revolutionary, and transformative act and art form. Inclusive Afrofuturism explores possible futures for all members of the Black diaspora, regardless of whatever identity politics they hold. We'll hear from a few people today about what Afrofuturism means to them, and in no particular order, we will hear from Gil, Courtney, Dr. Angela, and Shira about Afrofuturism.
Hi everyone, I'm Shira Gray Davis, and to me, Afrofuturism is a movement that brings our culture to the forefront and into the future. It's something that I don't think is very well known, but it does exist. It supports our freedoms and it encourages Black artistry, expression, vision without fear and restriction. I think the more and more examples of Afrofuturism that are on display in various industries such as music, film, big screen, theater, art, it allows young people to hope and to follow their dreams where previously they were silenced or afraid. For me, it was Black Panther, the movie. I also think it sends a clear message to the world that despite all we've been through as a people, we love us and we love our culture. We're strong, we're resilient, we have a voice and a platform, and we're not going anywhere. So it's time to share the spotlight because we're coming through. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I am super happy to be here. Happy Black Future Month here at CSBC, and especially to be on CSBC Life. I hope everybody's February has been amazing. Well, I am super excited to talk today about what Afrofuturism is and what Afrofuturism means to me. I know it's a strange concept that in the month of February that we stop and we concentrate just on Black history. We all know a number of those historic figures that have the right to be honored, that definitely have fought for us, that have toiled for us, that have risked their lives and even sacrificed their lives for us to be honored in this month and all year round in how we live our lives every day. We honor them. But it's this new concept that kind of has sparked up a little bit in the 90s, and then we're really coming into it, which is called Afrofuturism. So Afrofuturism is actually a study where people have studied. It takes social sciences, philosophy, technology, computer science, and it's putting all of those together at the intersection of African diaspora. So it's taking African diaspora, who we are as a people, coming from Africa through the slave trade, being brought here, in that meeting with technology in the future and all that is to come, and everything that goes in that collision at that intersection and what that means for it. And so it's a very beautiful time to really be thinking about Afrofuturism, more so now than ever before. As you see, that Black excellence doesn't just stop. It didn't stop in the 60s. It didn't stop in the 50s. It didn't even stop back in the early 1800s or 1700s. It continues to evolve, and we see countless of people who have made amazing impact on just who we are as a people, who we are in the sectors that we are impacting and that we are coming into. as you see in terms of sports, computer science, and STEM, and writing books and being professors, and even being presidents. We have overcome. And so really, Black history looks at all the things that we've done, but Black Afrofuturism looks at where are we going? Where are we going? I'm reading in the book of Exodus, and I love the parallel between the book of Exodus and the children of Israel, and how Moses, set those people free. They came, and Moses, demanded from Pharaoh, this is the word of the Lord. You will let my people go. You will. He is telling them and demanding and bringing them out of injustice into a land flowing with milk and honey. And it's this exodus of sorts of coming out of an old land into a new land. Now that we're free, it's still this process in this journey that there's still a land of milk and honey, and that God definitely has a plan for us as Black people and as African Americans here, that God is still pulling us along the journey. He is still narrating our path. He is still parting seas. He is still has dry land for us. He is still providing the manna. He is still providing the quail eggs. He is still the serpent that we look to for healing. He is everything that we need. And he has brought our people, yes, from a mighty long history, but we have a bright future. We have a bright future ahead to look to, a land that is flowing with milk and honey. And so really what Afrofuturism means to me is really looking ahead into the impact that we can make, whether that's in technology. How are we evolving as a people? What does that look like? How are we getting information, and how are we getting information to the world outside of us? How are we interpreting the world around us? And how can we make great impacts in that beyond what we have already done? It's looking at those that are to come, to our future that is to be born, for what our children will do, what our children's children will do. That it doesn't just stop at looking back at history, but it's asking ourselves, what has God purposed me to do in this major journey of our lives? In this story, God has appointed me for this time. I was born for this time. I was born for the future. I was born to think. I was born to have an impact on now. So it's not relying on what has been done on the past, but the impact that you personally make to the future. Well, I hope that you guys have an amazing February, that your love for self, for culture, and for all things Black and beautiful don't just stop here in February, but it continues every month of the year. That you understand that God has purposed us for this time. God has purposed us for the future. God has purposed us and given us a unique gift. That we necessarily don't have to wait for prominent figures of our past and relive those words. That we have words today that God has imparted into us. So I hope that you guys just bask in that. And happy Black Future Month.
What does an Afro-futuristic future look like to me? Try saying that fast 3 times. An Afro-futuristic future to me looks like having self-awareness and knowledge of the past and how it impacts us today, but at the same time not being limited by our past and creating a new future. It requires courage to sometimes go away from the tradition and to chart a new course, and that's okay. Afrofuturism is not reserved for a select few that have, reached a certain status or obtained certain credentials, but it allows each of us to imagine a future that is unique to us. It is inclusive, and in that sense, if Afrofuturism to you means music, then sing and play an instrument. If it means to you rap, then rap. If it's community oriented, then advocate. But for me, Afrofuturism is limitless.
Hello, I'm Dr. Angela Crutchfield. When I think of Afrofuturism, I think of a core capability that we all possess, something that gives us our superpower. Yep, I said it. We have a superpower. Not only do we have the Holy Spirit as a gift from God, we have a superpower as a gift from God. Let me explain. The power of the imagination is our superpower as human beings. The awe-inspiring superpower of imagination is something we can deploy at our will. This ability we have as human beings allows us to represent information that is not currently in the environment to be, right? The executive function of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, gives us the ability to imagine or think about things that aren't immediately present in our senses. This is a superpower, but we don't really acknowledge it in that way. So the freedom of the mind should be viewed as a powerful thing. Afrofuturism is a cultural movement that merges a few things: science fiction, spirituality, social justice. It's basically a movement that draws from the past and the present to imagine a hopeful future. This connectivity to the present reflects an important perspective that shows up during the month of February, even throughout all the 4 seasons if we choose to embrace it, and that is celebrating Black history in America. Afrofuturism teaches that we deal with the modern challenges as Black people in a certain way when we face impossibility. There are gifts for us from the past, our American history, that helps us conjure another world, a different outcome, a new way of being. Walida E. Marisha says, whenever we try to envision a world without war, without violence, without prisons, without capitalism, we are engaging in speculative fiction. All organizing is science fiction, as she says. So in my mind, that is how we leverage our superpower. Afrofuturism is a link that reflects the segue between our past and our future. It's not just science fiction. It encompasses spirituality, social justice. It is, to me, one of the foundational components to true culture change. We have faced many challenges as Black people in America, but through it all, God has blessed us, God has sustained us, God has given us a hope and a future. No longer should we allow that, which people have put upon us, this excluding us from the future. Science fiction, we've been excluded. We have to change that. Greg Tate says Black people live the estrangement that science fiction writers write about and what they imagine. Afrofuturism helps us to change the narrative, leveraging our freedom to imagine our true place in the future. Afrofuturism shouldn't be foreign to you or limited to only one generation's thoughts and experiences, or to only artists or writers or entertainers. It's much bigger than that and far more important for our future. We should all consider embracing the thoughts infused in Afrofuturism, regardless of our generation, because it's reflective in all generations: the matures, the boomers, the Gen Xers, the Gen Y, and Gen Z. All of us should leverage Afrofuturism thought process. It's there. We have that capability. Basically, we must leverage our superpower of the imagination to see ourselves in the future, as it should be and as it will be. In many ways, humans are rightfully obsessed with the emotional, and emotionally basically moved by the concept of what we call freedom, right? But many do not understand true freedom. Without the executive functions and the controls in our brains, we would have no freedom. Freedom of thought and the capability to imagine. That is our God-given true freedom. We would be bound by our instincts, our impulses, and continuously reacting to things without much thought. When we think about the things that are going on in our immediate environment, without the freedoms that we internally possess, that freedom of imagination, that freedom of thought, that freedom of choice, the freedom to change what we see, imagining our future, then taking action to get us there. The freedom to choose to see ourselves differently in the future is what drove every march, every protest, every speech, every push for legislative change. Our past, the true freedom fighters, they leveraged their future, right? The imagery of a future, our future, us in the future. Afrofuturism, it's our freedom, it's our future.
So if you enjoyed these thought-provoking clips, what did you learn today? What stood out to you? What does Afrofuturism mean to you? And where do you see Afrofuturism at work in your life? Have you used your imagination as a superpower this week, and how have you done that? Just let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Alright, so for today's wellness moment, we're going to just do a body scan and kind of focus on being present with our emotions. This is another adaptation. So first thing we're going to do is find a comfortable position and take a couple of full breaths. And your breathing can become shallow when you're stressed or upset, so try to feel your chest and belly expand when you breathe in, and really let go when you breathe out. Next, let your attention gently move through your body, from your head to your fingertips to your toes, and watch for places that you may be tensing or holding. It's common to clench your jaw or sit on the edge of your seat if you're feeling a difficult emotion. And just do your best to notice the tension and relax a little bit in those areas. So feel the emotion that's with you right now. Where do you feel it most strongly? There might be one place or there might be several places where you feel that emotion's physical expression. It could be in your heart, your throat, your belly, somewhere else. And as you're feeling those things, see if you can be curious about those sensations. If you want to move away or resist them, that's totally natural. Just see if you can be with them and feel them, think about them with kindness and curiosity just for a moment. And remember to breathe as you're feeling those things. And you can use words to help you stay connected to that physical part of your experience. Maybe it feels tight or swirling or hard, whatever feels right for you. Because you're just listening to your body's expression in this moment. You're not trying to make anything happen or stop anything from happening. You might have an emotion come up, like grief or fear, and that's all part of the practice. Just notice that and bring your attention gently back to the physical sensation that you're feeling right now. And notice if your experience changes in some way when you apply an emotional label like sadness or a physical label like tightness. You may have a thought or a story come up, remembering what someone said or did to you, and that's part of the practice too. Just notice it, and if you can, also notice if the thought creates an echo in your emotions or physical sensations. Then come back again to whatever physical sensations are more prominent for you. If an emotion is physically uncomfortable, you can try to create a little space around it. Gently explore the area to see what else is there, any relaxation or openness, or maybe you can find the edges and, right there, just soften a little bit. And you can do this practice as long as you like, doing the best you can to let your thoughts and emotions go and staying connected with that physical manifestation of your emotion. Big emotions can seem like these sort of impenetrable experiences that just happen, but hopefully this practice helps you recognize the physical, emotional, and mental components of your emotion and what's calling most of your intention and self-compassion. And that's it for this week's episode of CSBC Life. We hope you have a blessed rest of your week, and we can't wait to see you again in 2 weeks. Again, if you'd like to contribute, you can leave a comment on this video or email at mbazil@conferencetruth.org. See you next time.